So you want to eat Sukuna's fingers. I know, weird to start off a video like that, but this is a tutorial video on how to make your very own edible fingers that look like Sukuna's fingers. Yes, they have screaming faces on them. Yes, they look pretty gnarly, but they actually taste absolutely delicious. So skip forward to 30 seconds if you want to start the tutorial. But these are great for costumes, cosplay, and even if you're going to an event, just to have them because it's a fun, edible prop that you can have with yourself. Starting off, you will need 1 cup of flour. This is just normal flour. It's not anything special like bread flour or anything like that. Normally, what you'd want to do is you'd want to sift through this to get out any of the chunks. I don't have anything to really do that with, so I am just going in a back and forth motion, getting this out very slowly into a bowl, and that's going to break up some of the chunks of flour. After you have all of your flour in a bowl, then we're going to be putting in 4 tablespoons of melted butter. Now, this already has salt in it. If you don't have butter that has salt in it, then just add a pinch of salt in once you put the flour in. After the butter is in, then I'm adding just about 1/3 of a cup of honey. It's a little bit less, but you might need more, you might need less. 1/3 is pretty much the amount that you should need though, depending on how you want the consistency of your dough to be. Now I'm using one hand just to get this slowly together and to clump it up, evenly getting everything mixed around as best as I can. And yes, it is probably best to mix this with your fingers instead of using some fancy mixing machine, because not for nothing, 1, I don't have one, and 2, we're just making some edible, kneadable dough, and these are pretty much going to be along the lines of a moon pie anyway, so it's all good, it's all fine. After your dough is this consistency, so literally like moldable dough, then we're going to add some food dye in. You can use powder food dye or you can use liquid food dye. I have liquid food dye and I have 2 different colors of red. I have just this normal one, which is from the typical 4-pack of McCormick. This one is a gel base that is a little bit on the more watered down side, and I also have this thicker one. I forget exactly what the brand is. I want to say it's McCormick as well. So I put an even distribution of both of them in, and that's just to get a darker mid-tone red. Mix all of that up. Now, you could have probably put the food dye in right around the time when you did start mixing everything together, but the only issue with that is you just don't know fully and totally what the color is going to look like. Now, this part does take some time to go and do. Take your time with it. It'll be worth it. Now I'm adding just a bit more red into it, along with also a very, very, very small amount of this black in with it, because I want it to be slightly darker. Keep in mind as well too, after this has actually been baked, the tone of it is going to end up darkening up as well. This is the tone of it right now, so if your color looks just about like that or maybe slightly brighter, you're off to a good start. Now rolling this, it should be slightly smaller at the tip and then thicker at the end of it. Have an actual finger up for reference. It does help if you do. And now what I'm doing is right around the center of it, I'm pinching these 2 indents in. That's going to kind of make it look like it has the separation of different points of what an actual finger would have. At the end, then I'm going to pinch it a couple of times. Sukuna's fingers kind of look a little bit like little tree branches. That's the best way to put it. They're kind of gnarly, kind of knobby, kind of gross looking, and it looks like a tree at the end. For the nail, I'm using some salted almonds. So stick one of those in there, press it in place, and use a sculpting tool. These sculpting tools that I have are specifically used only for food. I do have a couple of different ones that are like this, but this one that I have has a rubber tip to it. The rubber tipped ones or metal ones will typically work best for this. I found that this rubber tipped one was pretty much what I used for most of my time sculpting this. Now I'm taking the dough, very slowly moving it around and slightly pressing around it to create this little line. Sukuna's fingers again kind of look almost tree-like, so there's some branches and roots that are on it. So this main root here is going to extend down to right about where the middle area is. I'm also adding some smaller details there and adding a small piece that is here as well. Now, because this dough is still warm, which you probably want to work with this when it is warm. When it cools, it can crack more and it's a little bit harder to move around. But because the butter is still warm in there, it's really easy to mold around. Then I'm adding one more piece over to here, using my tool here and pretty much blending the sides into the other dough that is underneath it. Now I'm making some of the faces. I'm putting 3 faces onto each and every one of these fingers, and these are pretty much easy to do. You just need a circular oval shape. It should be pointed towards the bottom, which is going to be where the mouth would be. Then you are going to indent after you have it molded in with the base of the finger, and you're going to be putting 2 little eyes and also a mouth. I'm using the back end of this tool that I have. It has a small rounded area. You can also use a toothpick for this as well too. I just found that this didn't really pull the dough, so it was a lot easier to use, a lot smoother, and I didn't have little cracked areas that I had to go and fix later. I'm putting the second face in here, blending the edges, doing the same exact thing, adding the eyes along with also the mouth to make it look like there's another screaming face. Keep in mind when this is going to bake as well, it will extend out slightly, so some of this detail is going to end up being lost. So it's probably best to put the eyes and mouths slightly pushed in a bit more. Don't really have them only on the surface. It will bake, it will get a little bit larger. So, yeah. Now, you're going to do that for all of the other fingers. The dough yields about 6 to 7 fingers. And after you have all of them down, simply pick it up where you put those 2 indents, put it onto some parchment paper, and then you are good to bake it. Now, with moon pies, normally what you do is you put it into your oven for about 5 minutes. I cooked this at just about 300 degrees Fahrenheit, took it out 5 minutes, and then I gave it an egg wash. Make sure it cools down before you give it an egg wash. If you don't let it cool down, then it's going to end up cracking a bit on the surface, and it's going to look not necessarily as shiny. The egg wash too also does just keep it from expanding too much more, along with also cracking more with that. But here's what it looks like after I bake them the rest of the way. So another 10 minutes in the oven, and then you're good to take them out. You do not want it to burn too much though. Now what I did to go and paint this and add some more detail in is I took some of the food coloring that I had, watered it down slightly, and it was actually really, really good to go and paint with. So I'm adding some details into where some of the divots were, and you can see that some of the detail was lost because these did expand ever so slightly when they were in the oven, but adding this extra additional depth in just really, really, really brings these to life. It makes them look pretty gnarly. It makes them look like the fingers, and it just makes them look so incredibly gross, and it looks awesome in the end. So after I've added that detail, and I did change out my brush too, so I had this smaller one to add some of the finer details and finer lines to it, which included filling in the eyes and mouths of these screaming faces on there, following along with some of those lines that were down from the little gnarly tree bits. That is what they looked like. Now you can enjoy these. They are very tasty. They're really, really buttery. And these are some fun props that you can use for any cosplay, convention, or anything that you want to do this year. I mean, look at those faces. Spooky, fun, and, well, again, it's just a really tasty snack. Have fun all, take care, Happy New Year, and now go and enjoy a little bit of chaos. All right, bye!